I thought I'd just start by saying that the Council, or more specifically the leader of the Council, set up a body named the Twickenham Advisory Panel, which comprises a non-elected group of local individuals. The purpose of TAP is to work with the Council and to advise on and assist in the development and implementation of a blueprint for the regeneration of Twickenham, including the Area Action Plan. The function of TAP includes consideration of matters relating to the development of Twickenham. When advising the Council's Cabinet, TAP is free to recommend any actions which they consider appropriate. TAP was briefed by officers of the Council to organise a public event in respect of the Solum Regeneration Scheme. An event was held on the 14th of July 2011 at Richmond College, which Solum and senior officers of the Council fielded, where Solum and Council officers fielded pre-submitted questions from local residents and the community. The event was attended by 114 local residents, 9 TAP members, and was chaired by TAP's chairman, Paul Leonard, with the sort of question time panel set up. It also consisted of the Council's Chief Executive, Gillian Norton, the Director of Environment, Paul Chadwick, and Solum's Director of Development, Simon Rutter. The pre-submitted questions and the panel's answers to the questions are actually contained in the Appendix 4 of the TAP report. And I believe that that information is available through the Council's website, or certainly TRAG's website. So if you need to look at the detail, it's there. TAP concluded that that event had been successful in terms of raising the awareness, clarifying key elements of the proposal for local residents, and improving the dialogue with Solum, and the letters of thanks were released to TAP for publication in the local press. An open letter was issued to Solum Regeneration on the 4th of August 2011 and covered consistent areas of concern on the part of residents and TAP as per the following: the extent of consultation that had and will continue to take place to inform the proposal, the height and the mass of the development proposals as submitted, the effect of the new retail accommodation on existing retailers, the marketability of residential and commercial accommodation proposed in terms of their proposed design and servicing, as well as market demand generally, and also the financial viability analysis, the cost of the station improvements, and the lack of affordable housing within the proposal, the sustainability credentials of the scheme, the benefits of the proposals to Twickenham event day operations, and the likelihood of the proposal being delivered ahead of the 2015 Rugby World Cup. Solum Regeneration responded to the open letter on the 18th of August, and a copy of their detailed response is also included in Appendix 7 of the TAP report. TAP held a further meeting with Solum on the 23rd of August to review the responses to the open letter. Owing to the limited time, only some of the 17 questions raised within the open letter. At that meeting, Paul Leonard also set out the background to and the purpose of the meeting in terms of TAP's aim in relation to the station's proposals was to raise awareness with the local community, provide clarity in relation to those issues and concerns raised through the public event and correspondence. Furthermore, TAP planned to provide a report to Lord True and the Planning Committee on the outcomes of this work, the open letter and meetings with Solum, Network Rail and other key stakeholders. A copy of that meeting note is included as Appendix 8 of the TAP report. Following the further correspondence and meeting between TAP and Solum Regeneration, TAP wrote a report on the development proposals. Wrote a report on development proposals for Twickenham Station dated December 2011. The report was issued to the leader of the council's PA and copied to a number of officers on the 9th of December 2011, as confirmed by the Director of Environment, Paul Chadwick, in his email dated the 2nd of May of this year. The opening statement, which I copied, indicated up there, clearly indicates that the report was prepared for Lord True, the leader of the council, and council officers on the outcome of TAP's work in relation to the proposals for Twickenham Station being promoted by Solum. The Director of Environment contends that TAP was not commissioned to produce a report of their own concerns about the station scheme, either for Lord True or for the Planning Committee. That was to deal with the station proposals. The following conclusions are of note. The conclusion drawn by TAP from its inquiry and work on the station application is that, unfortunately, there are serious areas of concern which cannot be easily reserved to further detailing of the design and construction method post-consent. Furthermore, whilst the height and mass of the development is explained in terms of viability, it's not sustained in terms of local support, the station area SPD, or the impact on adjoining residents. In substance, the TAP report recommended investigations of an alternative scheme, a matter to which the Council superfluously addressed its mind, A, without taking into account all the relevant material, i.e. conclusions of the TAP report, and B, without further investigation of TRAG's alternative proposal B, or Plan B. Such an investigation would have been wholly in line with the conclusions of the TAP report. The officer's report fails to scrutinise properly or at all Plan B, because Plan B had not been formally submitted in the form of a planning application. That was the basis on which members were advised to and did disregard Plan B. The deliberate decisions to disregard Plan B was directly contrary to one of the principal conclusions of the TAP report, the sole commendation on which was that the Council should investigate a policy-compliant Plan B proposal. Further, it meant that the Planning Committee were not aware that the benefits of the overall scheme could be achieved without breaching the height limits in Policy DM DC3. It's for this reason that TRAG hold the view that the Council's decision was unlawful, in that it failed to take into account properly or at all Plan B or an alternative which also satisfy the requirements of the scoping report. And finally, TAP does feel that the proposed Solum scheme has TAP does feel that the position Solum has taken has really restricted its work on what we've been able to achieve, particularly Solum's refusal to develop a Plan B, as well as their arguable defence and evasive approach to a number of questions from TAP, some of which still remain unanswered. Just a reminder that the actual Planning Committee report, the section of the Office report dated the 19th of December, which deals with consultations, merely stated that the Twickenham Advisory Panel, no comments had been received at the time of writing the Officer's report. And in the first addendum to the Officer's report dated the 16th of December, confirmed members will be aware that Twickenham Advisory Panel have reported their findings of the application to the Leader of the Council on the back of the public event held in July. This response has not been submitted against the planning application or formally to planning officers, and as such the comments therein are not considered material in consideration of this application. We hold the view that the TAP report was addressed to both the Leader of the Council and the Council officers, as is confirmed in the opening statement of their report, and further confirmed at the private meeting held on the 23rd of August between TAP, Solum Network Rail, and officers of the Council. Sorry, just one moment. With regards to the Leader and the report as being a material consideration. The leader of the council himself evidently thought that the TAG report was material. He said, unfortunately, that this was the result not of a conspiracy, but poor communications. This was a very thorough report, was not presented in time to be considered before the planning committee, nor because of the Christmas leave did I myself see it until the new year. On May the 2nd, the Director of Environment also stated, ideally TAG would have issued their report far earlier and or sought the advice of Councillor Lord True or support officers on the purpose of their report well ahead of it being issued. If they had done so and had their intent been that their concerns were raised with the planning officers and the committee, then the leader planning comments issued would have been explained. We might stress, he went on to say, that they may have been able to find a mechanism for the report's content being placed formally before the planning committee in one shape or another. In the event, none of these things happened. The opportunity to consider the report and bring them to the planning committee's attention between the 19th of December and the 30th of March was not pursued by the council, who chose to bury the report until after the decision to grant planning permission had been made. It is for this reason that TRAG hold the view that the council's decision was unlawful in that it failed to take into account a material consideration, namely the TAG report. Thank you.